All right, we want to turn to 2020. New Fox News polls this morning show that the Democratic advantage over President Trump has actually narrowed in potential head-to-head matchups, according to Wisconsin voters. Another poll shows former Vice President Joe Biden holding a large lead in South Carolina. He is ahead by 21 points as newcomer Tom Steyer jumps into second place. Joining me right now is Freeze Associates founder, former Wall Street executive and multi-millionaire Foster Freeze. And it's good to see you this morning, Foster. Happy New Year to you, sir.
Well, I'm glad to be here, but, I'm headed for 80 in a few months, so I'm glad to be anywhere. So good to have me.
Good for you. What's your take on where we are in terms of the political story? You've got the Democrat getting ready for another debate, their last debate coming up before Iowa. What's your take in terms of where we are going into that?
Well, I think the big issue going forward is the issue of socialism versus capitalism. I think we have to define those terms a little bit better and not use those terms, but instead say government control versus free markets. And it's so easy to sell these young people who have been indoctrinated about the wonders of socialism by letting them know in Denmark, which is a market economy, they have a 60% income tax, 25% sales tax, and 180% excise tax on new cars. And the trick is, how do we let them see that our current government is so overextended, it's almost Greece-like? One time, go on the debt clock and take off 8 zeros off the government numbers, Maria, and you'll see a household earning $35,000, spending $47,000 with a $230,000 credit card tab. And then Elizabeth Warren wants to take all the private doctors and private hospitals, MD Anderson, Sloan Kettering, those private dollars, and dump it on top of that. So yeah. I think we're going to look forward to a real landslide come 2020.
Well, Elizabeth Warren also wants to have a wealth tax, right? I mean, let's talk about that, because there's a new Reuters Ipsos poll this morning that shows 64% of Americans are actually in favor of putting a wealth tax on the very rich.
Well, naturally, that would be if 64% of the people aren't wealthy, why not tax somebody else? And someone has said, Jesus was really a socialist, but it's anything but that. If you remember the story about the talents, where they were given various talents, and one guy went and hid it in the bush, and he got chastised for not being productive. So I believe we must encourage our productive people. And on my website, incidentally, fosterfreeze.com, there's a wonderful little cartoon about a minute long that shows an island where someone goes out with a fishing boat, starts getting more fish, and now the island prospers because of the entrepreneurial spirit of creating more productivity, even though the disparity in incomes went up to fivefold. Income inequality is what we cherish in America. It's the American dream. Yeah. And I'm sort of an example of that. I started out with $200 of accumulated leave pay from the Army, and now I've been blessed. I've been able to give away $200 million and still have a few bucks left. So I think you want to look to more Foster Freezes in the world, and why take my money away? You want to encourage people like me.
Right, and you want to believe in the American dream, that you could come from nothing and achieve great success. And our audience, really, we want people to understand what this wealth tax is. We've been calling it confiscation on this program, because you could work your whole life, save as much money as possible, and then if you get to a certain point, well, it will be confiscated because there is a wealth tax. So it's important to understand what a wealth tax is, and that's a tax on everything. It could be your art, it could be your home, whatever it is that you have or you've accumulated over your life. Another thing we say on this program is that money is mobile. So what are the implications of this? Because more business leaders are fleeing to places that are either no state tax or low taxes, states like Florida, Texas, for the warm weather and the tax relief. Foster, you're coming to us this morning from Texas, where there's no state income tax. We've got a graphic on screen showing all the states that have no state income tax. That's where you're seeing population growth.
Yes, I'm actually a resident of Wyoming, which also doesn't have any tax. And to your point, Maria, in Scandinavia, when people are taxed based on their wealth, some of them don't have any income anymore, and people have had to sell antiques and sell dishes in China in order to pay their tax. So I just think it's part of the nastiness that's crept into our society. And let's look at the people who believe in free markets versus the people who believe in government control. And it lines up with Christianity, Judeo-Christian values, and with secularism. Most of the people that want to have these kinds of government control are pretty much secular in spirit. And Dennis Prager warned when some of his Jewish friends were concerned about Christmas celebrations at government-run schools. He says, look, don't discourage that. The biggest threat that we have to America is secularism, and that's the fastest growing religion probably in America.
Yeah, but Foster, look, Michael Bloomberg is a billionaire, 2020 Democratic candidate, and he wants to raise taxes. You know, yesterday he rolled out his economic plan, this week or rather, promising to raise the minimum wage and steer more kids to college. Your reaction to what you're hearing from Michael Bloomberg, does he have a shot in this in this election to take down Donald Trump?
He does not have a prayer. They're going to play his tape where he decides we can tax people for drinking big sodas, and that hits the little guy. He says, I don't care if the little guy has to pay more taxes as long as we get him more healthy. And he has the classic government, I'm better than the rest of you because I'm successful and I'm going to tell you how to lead your lives. And I think what's exciting about America is you and I decide how we're going to lead our lives, and we have to fight for that. Because truly the young people at these colleges have just been mesmerized. In fact, I encourage you to see a film called No Safe Spaces. It's doing extremely well, one of the highest producing documentaries. And Dennis Prager and his friend Carolla, I believe his name is, they go around and showing what is happening with the lack of freedom of speech on campus.
I heard that's terrific. I actually did hear a lot about that. Foster, real quick, because you are so knowledgeable about policy, are you considering getting into politics? Are you going to run for Wyoming Senator Mike Enzie's open seat in the Senate?
Well, you know, Maria, I was late getting into the governor's race there 119 days ahead of time, and I wound up winning the most Republican votes before the Democratic crossovers, which are possible in Wyoming, wiped me out. So I'm a late starter. I'm going to hold my cards close to my vest, and one day I might just pop into it, and another time I might, because we have Cynthia Lummis and Liz Cheney were remarkable women. Wyoming is a state that loves women. We were the first state to have women suffrage, women voting well before we became a state. So there's going to be some good representation, whoever it is, but I'll let you know a little later.
All right, that sounds like a yes, but we're going to be watching you, Foster, and I like that about women. It's good to see you this morning, sir. Thank you.
I love you, Maria. Keep up your good work. You're a real national treasure. God bless you.
I so appreciate it. Right back at you. Foster Freeze joining us. We so appreciate you, Foster Freeze, joining us. Meanwhile, TV producers